You ever notice how pimples have the worst timing? Your skin is chill for days, and then the night before something important your face is like, what if? Volcano. And now there are these tiny little stickers people slap on their faces like they are patching a leak in reality. You go to bed with a bump, you wake up, and the patch looks gross, but the pimple looks better. Rude, but impressive. So, how do pimple patches work? Why does putting a tiny sticker on your face sometimes calm down what your whole skincare shelf could not? Let us start with the obvious. A pimple patch is not magic. It is basically a glorified bandage with better PR. But it is a very specific kind of bandage made from something called hydrocolloid. Hydrocolloid is a fancy way of saying, this material really loves goo. Wounds, pimples, general skin chaos, hydrocolloid is built to sit on top, soak up fluid, and create a cozy, moist environment underneath. Yes, you literally have a tiny, moist terrarium of drama on your cheek. When you stick one on a pimple, a couple of things happen immediately. First, it makes a little seal over the area. Air, fingers, pillowcases, phone screens, that one hair that insists on tickling the same spot. All of that gets blocked. This is already a big deal because half of what makes a pimple worse is us touching it. You poke, you squeeze, you just check it. And your skin is like, cool, I was inflamed. Now I am inflamed and offended. The patch stops that it is literally a do not poke sign that you have to peel off to ignore. Underneath the sticker, your pore is doing its thing. A pimple is basically your skin's version of clogged plumbing. Oil, dead skin cells, and bacteria get stuck inside a pore, your immune system freaks out, and boom, red, swollen, sometimes full of pus. The fluid in there is called exudate, which sounds like an evil villain but is just a mix of gunk, oil, immune cells, and general skin juice. Hydrocolloid is like, delicious. I will take that. The material absorbs this fluid through the pimple's opening, especially if the pimple has already come to a white or yellow head or has been gently opened by life, time, or your previous questionable decisions. As it sucks up the gunk, the patch swells a little and turns white or cloudy in the center. That gross-looking spot in the morning, that is the patch showing off what it stole from your pimple. So, one part of the magic is just sponge behavior. Pulling out fluid helps flatten the bump, reduce pressure, and make the area look less angry. Less swelling, less redness, less, I can see this from across the room. The other part is the environment it creates. Your skin heals best when it is slightly moist, not bone dry and gasping under layers of harsh products. The patch keeps the area at that sweet spot, not wet enough to macerate, great word, terrible experience, not dry enough to crack and scab. Your skin cells can move in, do repair work, and rebuild without being constantly interrupted by air, friction, or you staring at it in the mirror and deciding to help. There is also a subtle psychological piece. Once a patch is on, the pimple is kind of out of sight, out of mind. You stop microanalyzing it every 10 minutes. That alone can be healing. The patch is babysitting the chaos, so your brain can go be anxious about something else instead. Now, you might have noticed there are two broad types of pimple patches lurking in skincare land. First kind, the classic hydrocolloid dot. These are the clear, squishy stickers that mostly just soak and protect. They work best on pimples that are closer to the surface. Whiteheads, a spot you already popped, we are not judging, just observing. Or those juicy little volcanoes that look like they are about to erupt. You slap a patch on, it drinks the exudate, and in the morning the bump is smaller and flatter. Not gone, but noticeably less dramatic. Second kind, the fancy pimple patches with ingredients. These have all the hydrocolloid behavior, plus extra stuff infused into the sticker. Think salicylic acid, tea tree oil, niacinamide, or even tiny microneedles made of dissolvable material that poke just under the surface. Same cute dot, slightly more chaotic science. The ingredient-packed patches are trying to do more than just soak. Salicylic acid, for example, helps dissolve the glue between dead skin cells and clear out the pore lining. Tea tree oil brings its I fight bacteria energy. Microneedles are there to deliver actives a little deeper into a cystic or painful bump, like a micro-Trojan horse army of skincare. Still, underneath all the add-ons, the core mechanism stays the same. Cover, protect, absorb, and give the skin a calm little bubble to fix itself. Let us talk expectations for a second, because this is where a lot of disappointment walks in. Pimple patches are great at certain stages and kind of useless at others. If you have a deep, under-the-skin, painful, why does it feel like a pebble in my face cyst? A flat hydrocolloid dot is not going to magically erase it overnight. There is not enough of an opening from the surface for the patch to pull much out. It can still offer some benefit, less friction, a little compression, maybe less picking, but it will not perform the impressive goo-sucking transformation you see with a ripe whitehead. On the other hand, if the pimple has already popped or is clearly filled with surface-level fluid, that is the patch's Olympics. That is its time to shine, literally and then grossly. The more accessible the gunk, the more it can slurp up, and the more dramatic the before and after. There is also the scar prevention angle. One big reason pimples leave marks is because we traumatize the area, squeezing, digging, reopening, smearing harsh spot treatments that burn more than they heal. The patch acts like a soft helmet for your pimple. Less picking means less mechanical damage. Less damage means less chance of leftover hyperpigmentation or scars. The patch is not erasing scars. It is helping prevent the "I should not have gone that hard" aftermath. And yes, there is a cosmetic reason they are beloved. They turn shiny exposed pimple into tiny semi-matte sticker. You can walk around with one in daylight, and it is way less noticeable than a raw red bump. Some people even put makeup over them. Brands absolutely know this and make tinted versions, which is not ideal for full healing, but definitely better than rubbing foundation directly onto an open pimple. Of course, there are limits. A pimple patch cannot stop new pimples from forming. It does not change your hormones, your diet, your stress levels, your genetics, or the entire bacterial ecosystem of your face. It is not a replacement for a good routine or, if you need it, actual acne treatment from a doctor. It is a tiny, targeted cleanup crew, not the city planner. Also, you do not want to use them on everything. Slapping them on non-pimple stuff, like random dry patches or big inflamed cysts that have no head, is mostly just comforting vibes. Harmless, usually, but not exactly effective. And if your skin is super sensitive or you are allergic to adhesives, even that gentle hydrocolloid glue can make things cranky. But when the situation is right, chef's kiss. You get this satisfying cycle. A bump appears, you sigh, you wash your face, stick on a patch, and go live your life. Under the sticker, your skin fluids move, the patch swells, the white spot appears, and your pimple deflates. You peel it off, stare at the grossness with scientific fascination, and feel like you participated in a tiny, controlled extraction without wrecking your skin barrier. So, how do pimple patches work? They work less like a potion and more like a really smart bandage. They block your fingers, shield the area, slurp up the gunk, and let your skin quietly handle the rest. Sometimes they bring a little chemical backup. Sometimes they are just soft, sticky sponges. Either way, their superpower is not that they cure acne. It is that they make one annoying pimple less of a catastrophe. Tiny sticker, big relief. Not magic, just good materials, clever design, and a surprisingly powerful "do not touch" sign glued directly to your face.